Let's go. We're on.
Are we? How do you know?
It says end stream, which means it started.
Good.
So second podcast.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good for us. We're doing well.
Yeah, it's good.
Getting to two. The title is the 151st Open Review. So let's start with that.
Yeah, well, I think probably the thing we should start with, that you knew was coming, was the sweepstake. I mean, let's have a recap of that. How'd you go?
I finished third.
Yeah.
Should we start talking about the Open now?
Usually you'd ask me how I went.
No, I had a 10-shot lead after the second round.
Yeah. True to form.
Yeah, so I was feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah. And you were telling everybody that you were feeling good about it.
Yeah, although I wasn't feeling as good as I was sounding.
Yeah.
Um,
How can this be about you when I won?
did you win?
Yeah.
Did you?
By 6, in fact. Not unlike Brian Harman.
Yeah.
Mm.
Tell us about it then. Go on.
Ah, okay, so no, I think your strategy was flawed. You were going around the office today telling everybody about how your TAB picks were so good and I was the worst, mine was so shit. But it's not about that. It's about players who are only just going to creep into the cut and then they've got nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
they go low, like John Rahm.
Yeah, your strategy
Inspired choice.
proved correct.
Yeah.
I had a couple of players at the top of the leaderboard with Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, Min Woo Lee was in the mix there.
Yeah.
But they came out in the weekend and played pretty defensive. There was no chance of them going low, so
Yeah. Too much pressure.
next major I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep it in mind because that was all my thinking.
Risky though,
Yeah, it was
because
Scotty, literally.
of your 5 players, you need 3 of them to make the cut.
Yeah.
So if you're flirting with that cut line and they don't make it, but that's the risk you got to take. And I guess you were the champion.
Yeah.
Well
Well,
done.
I am the champion.
Your
I'm
third,
champion.
your third major.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the honours board at work, there's only been 8. I've won 3 of them. You haven't won any.
not yet.
No.
No,
Interesting. But what do you think? Did you get up this morning or did you stay up?
it's been a long 4 days.
Yeah.
I sort of set up camp on the couch for the last 4 days, and I just drift in and out of consciousness, but set my alarm intermittently so that I don't sleep for too long, so I don't miss too much. So every hour and a half or so, the alarm goes off to make sure I'm awake and I don't miss too much.
Yeah.
So it has been a long
Yeah.
4 days. Feeling it today.
So what did you watch last night?
Or
Or this morning?
Yeah, it rained in the Ashes, which was unfortunate for the last 2 days, so I didn't see any of the cricket. But there was also Formula One on.
No, about the golf. What time did you start
Well, you
watching
asked
the
what did I
golf?
watch. So I started at...
Yeah, I mean, what holes did you watch? Like,
I started at 1 o'clock this morning,
right.
and I actually stayed up.
What time did the leaders tee off?
Yeah, 1.
1, right.
So I got up. I went to, got a 2 hours sleep and got up until the end of it.
I think I got up when Harman was on about 12.
Yeah.
At 3:45 maybe. And a little bit of me wished I had just rolled over, checked the leaderboard on my phone and gone back to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I got up and I made a coffee and then I sat there and I cranked the computer up and went, oh, this is going to be a bit underwhelming. But pleased to see the banter on our group chat.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were
Because
pleased.
you guys had all given up the ghost by that stage.
It did change pretty quickly. Victor Hovland was 5 over through 5, I think. He was probably my great hope to get me over the line. Tommy Fleetwood, poor Tommy. You go through those periods where you miss putts, and he just didn't hold anything, and you're kind of angry, but he got to the point where he was just sad.
Yeah.
He missed a putt. It was just pure sadness as he sort of dawdled over to tap in what was another close birdie chance. It looked like he hit a good 5 or 6 approach shots to within 15 feet, 10 feet sort of range, and he just couldn't get anything to fall. And Brian Harman, on the other hand, seemed to just find a gear and start rolling them in.
Did you hear that stat Mike said today?
No.
Inside 10 feet? Like 98%
Wow.
or 90-something% inside 10 feet for the week?
Yeah. that'll get
It's
it done.
phenomenal.
He only made 6 bogeys.
Yeah, that's
Pretty impressive in
Mind
that-
you,
those
if you're holding
conditions.
it, if you're holding 98% or whatever the stat was, it was 90 something.
Yeah.
From
Often he's not going to be.
you're not going to chip it outside 10 feet too often, maybe 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, congratulations on the
Yeah,
sweepstake.
Thank you. Yeah,
Who
he was only the
else?
5th left-hander.
Fifth
Hey,
left-hander
to win a major. Yeah, we discussed that this morning.
Yeah.
Who are the other 4?
And could you have named them all before we did this in the office?
I could have. I got stumped on Bubba,
Yeah. Okay.
which is bizarre because why would you get stumped on Bubba Watson? He's won
Yeah.
2 and he's pretty out there character.
It's probably something that not a lot of the rest of the world would get, with Sir Bob being
Yeah.
one of them. So probably a little bit advantageous for us if that was a trivia question.
Yeah,
So Bubba, Mike Ware.
yeah, that was the
Second
one
one?
another one that you kind of think
Yeah.
maybe not.
And
Yeah.
Phil and Bubba both won the Masters. So based on that, no left-hander has won the US Open.
No,
Might be something to look out for next year.
yeah, could be.
Keep that in mind when
Use
I'm
that
making
in
my
your strategy.
picks.
You could have Billy Harmon, Phil Mickelson.
Brian
Bubba
Harmon.
Watson.
was Billy
Oh yeah,
Fine as
Billy
well.
Harmon. He'd be good though. He'd just take you out. He'd just tackle you if you were beating him, and it'd hurt. Then I googled it. No female has won a major, left-handed female. There's plenty of females that have won majors. Lydia's won plenty, but no left-handed female has ever won a major. And another fact that I find interesting: only one female has ever won on the LPGA Tour. One left-handed female, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and it was
pretty
back in
incredible.
1974.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I know any left-handed
Michaela Brown,
females.
Mark
Yep.
Brown's wife.
Yep.
She's a delightful ball striker.
Yep.
And a good player. She's a left-hander. Yep. I think we'll see more left-handers though, because I reckon would have been discouraged. It would have been hard to find left-handed clubs. You hear a lot of older people say, "Oh, I'm left-handed, but I had to play right-handed because I couldn't get gear and what have you."
Forced into it.
Which then you think about Sir Bob. It's pretty impressive. And then I think add that to female ladies equipment, ladies junior equipment, left-handed, like it's a niche market.
That's pretty
right
niche,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe we'll see more left-handers now that stuff's becoming a bit more accessible.
Do you think who's going to win a major first? Another left-hander or someone taller than 6'6"?
Wow, that's a great question.
I don't have any stats on
Yeah, how many
height.
guys are taller than 6'6"
Yeah,
on
well,
the tour
just
or in
thinking,
majors?
just thinking of Christo Lamprette, who
Yeah.
was leading after the first round, 6'8".
Mm.
He was the guy we mentioned
talked
briefly.
about last
Yeah,
week,
so
yeah.
he had a couple in the high 190 ball speeds with driver
Mm.
during the Open when they had the Tracer going. So pretty dangerous. He's number 3 on the Wagger. We mentioned that a little bit there. So he's number 3, so he can play. And he won the British Am, I think, to get into the Open.
Right, yeah, he did. He definitely did. Which Michael would probably have you know, it's called the Amateur Championship
Okay,
rather than the
good.
British Am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know? On that note, we talked about Wagger last week, and what it all meant. Brian Harmon,
Brian Harmon.
he was number 1 on the Wagger.
Wow.
So people go, oh, he's out of nowhere, but to be the number 1 amateur in the world is pretty impressive. And he was there spent a few weeks at number 1. And I think that just backs up that there's no such thing as, nowadays I don't think, these guys out of nowhere or, like the random guy that just Monday qualified and got through.
Yep.
I heard another stat saying he'd had the most top 10 since 2017.
Okay.
But I kind of heard it in passing, so I might have made it up.
Yeah, he's been there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Though, and it was about 2017 or 16. I remember putting up a post on social media because he looked like Ricky Ponting, and Ricky Ponting was my favourite batsman growing up. And the likeness is uncanny.
Can you find that post?
Yeah.
because I'd like to see that.
Do you want me
It's
to
not
find
that I
it?
doubt.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm doubting you.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Because it's one of those ones like
Yeah.
it's good to say. Oh, now you'll scroll through. Oh
Yeah.
shit, I can't find
Go
it. It
on.
must have gone.
Go on.
Not sure
You
what
keep
happened to
talking
it.
while I find the post.
He actually he came 6th last year too.
Yep.
At the Open Championship. Where was it played last year?
St Andrews.
Oh yeah, because it was 150th.
150th.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah, you are trying to find it, aren't you?
You don't believe me, so
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll find it.
Do you know what else I found interesting?
Go
And our little friend Alex Peterson
Yep.
talked about this.
He's not that little, but yep. Is he?
He's littler than us.
Okay. Yeah.
Shorter.
Yeah.
There
There we go.
he has too.
18th of June,
And it actually is Ricky
2017.
Ponting. He had a whole lot more hair then.
Yeah, so for proof, we made a little post. Brian Harman was leading the US Open, 18th of June 2017. Yeah,
Right.
so there you go.
After
So,
how many rounds?
Do you want me to go back and see what day the
No,
18th
no,
is?
that's fine. That's fine. But there's an uncanny resemblance to Ricky
Yeah,
Ponting.
and actually because it was raining, Ricky Ponting was
At the golf,
commentating.
yeah.
He went to the golf.
And did anyone say it to him?
No, well, he actually said, now I need to wait for Brian to arrive so I can go get a photo with him. So it's obviously been mentioned and he's
yeah.
aware of it.
Maybe it was your post that
Maybe.
set the world alight.
Yeah.
Who's more famous in the world, Ricky Ponting or
What's an
Brian
interesting
Harman?
question, because all of Aussie are probably like, oh man, he looks like Ricky Ponting, but no one in America's going, oh, Ricky Ponting looks like Brian Harman.
Yeah.
So probably just through sheer numbers.
The people at the Ashes probably are.
Well, there's a lot of people in India though.
Yeah. There's a few.
There's a
But-
lot of people in India who would have worshipped.
Because the Ashes was what, an hour away? I don't know how
Yeah.
far is Manchester from Liverpool, but not far.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Englishmen would have been thinking, shit, Ricky Ponting's about to win the Open.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. What I was going to say before about Alex Peterson, last time we caught up with him, he was mentioning about club fitting and saying that not many people nowadays, pros in tour fittings, are carrying 4 irons that are the same as their set.
Yeah.
And so I then, as you know, I played poorly. I've been playing poorly for a long time actually. I played on Saturday and played poorly again, but I played poorly a few weeks ago. So I thought, I need a new set of clubs, which is rational and reasonable. So I got a new set of clubs, which I'll get.
All right.
You talk about yourselves.
Have you explained why? Did Alex explain why they are moving that way though?
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting. So club fitting has kind of evolved to where you're trying to match your peak height throughout the bag. And let's say a tour player has a blade and their peak height is 30 metres with the 6 or 7 iron. They want to match that with the long irons in their bag, and quite often they can't consistently do that.
Yeah.
So they get something with a little bit more meat, a little bit more weight to it, or mass maybe behind or under the ball, so they can get it up a little bit higher, so that they can match that height, so that their stopping distances are fairly similar when it's coming into the green.
Yeah, which is cool and makes sense when you
Yeah.
think about it. So that was my old set. Can you see that? Lovely
There you go.
set of Ping blueprints. Beautiful clubs. Hard to hit if you're not
It looked
particularly
nice.
good. So then I decided to get the new version of the Ping, where it is. There it is. Which is an I230, and it is lovely.
Mm.
But taking AP's advice,
Yeah.
I got myself in the 4 iron.
Interestingly, that looks harder to hit,
That's
just
number
based
4.
on the back of it.
And the lighting's not very good, Scotty, but nah. Anyway, that is the crossover,
Yeah.
which is sort of what's like half hybrid, I guess, half iron. It's easier to hit.
It makes sense with the crossover name, crossing over.
Crossing
between
over, yeah. But I noticed that so this wasn't all about me, believe it or not, or a shameless promotion of the lovely product that is Ping, to both of our listeners, one of which is my mum, who doesn't play golf, nor does she play Ping. But I see here, he had the Titleist, which Alex Peterson will be happy with, U500, number 3 and 4. And then he went into 5-iron to wedge with his clubs. So I think there's a bit of ego involved though, because when you're told that you can't fly to 4-iron because you haven't got enough speed, as a recreational golfer like myself, you think, nah, I can hit a 4-iron, I can still hit a 4-iron. But then you think, well, these guys are the best in the world, and they're not carrying 4-irons. We're about to see a shameless display of ego here.
For reference, that's my 4-iron. I would turn it to look down the top line, but it would disappear. You wouldn't be able to see it. Very difficult to hit. Hence why I don't play much.
You played today.
I did play today, yeah.
How'd the 4-iron go?
What were we talking about?
But I think about that and go, I wonder how many people are carrying clubs for this, and they're actually doing the same. Like if you think about that 4-iron, you probably hit your 5-iron just as far. In fact, no, you might not. Should we test that? No. It's a good idea though. You'd probably hit that number sign. But that shows you I fitted myself for those, and even just doing the then went from the 4-iron to a hybrid, and I didn't go to 3 hybrid, I went to a 4 hybrid but lofted it down, which opens up the face, which I like the look of. I'm not sure why, given that I tend to hit a flare cut.
But I would not be giving you an open face. You'd be the champion golfer of the year in a sweepstake, but
yeah. So I de-lofted it, which opens the face, and then the gap was perfect. And then whereas when I hit 3 hybrid, it wasn't as good. So really interesting process to go through, and then gives you a whole lot of confidence when you go to play and you know how far you're going to hit clubs and what have you.
I wonder if it's traditionally the fitting club is always usually a 7-iron.
7-iron, yeah.
So you get one that you like and you hit that quite well, so you go, cool, I'll just match the bag.
Yeah.
So I know now, talking to Alex, he has a few 3 and 4 irons for fitting purposes.
Yeah.
Which wasn't always the case.
We didn't do our little segment at the start around the New Zealand golfers around the world.
Yeah, I had that in my notes, so I think
Did you?
It's probably important to talk about the Open.
Yeah, that's fair.
If we do get any listeners, they can leave now, because that was the...
Yeah. Well, no, what else do we know from the Open? Pretty impressive to win by, by 6.
6 shots in the end.
You don't see that often with the best players in the world. Like,
no, it seemed not since Tiger to have sort of a win that big.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive in those conditions to have control of your ball flight for 4 rounds. I don't know if they showed it while you were watching, but under his umbrella, he's got like 6 gloves hanging off there, and towels. Just the admin that goes along with playing in those conditions makes it so much more difficult. Yeah,
I think when you play, like, they don't have trundlers, but they've got a caddy, right, which is the same thing. But the trundlers nowadays, you get a click gear or whatever, and Sun Mountain, whatever it is, you put your umbrella thing in. So you have an umbrella for your bag, that keeps your bag dry. And then you have an umbrella, which, while you're pushing your trundler, you can just sit under the trundler's umbrella. And under the trundler's umbrella, because it always stays up, you've got your gloves and 2 hand towels. So then when you go to hit your shot, you just get your other umbrella out, put it up. So actually, in actual fact, if you're well organised enough, playing in the rain's not that hard. I'm well organised enough to not play in the rain. Yeah, yeah. That's fair. But if you had to, which we don't, and we don't. No. And the other one is the rain grips are outstanding. Yeah. Not that this is about bloody. Sounds like a fucking infomercial. It's not the point, but I think you often look out the window with people and they've got no wet, like, because our office looks out over the golf course, and got no wet weather gear, tiny little umbrella that's broken, and they're fighting with the wind, and just making life so much harder than it needs to be. Yeah, I'm a fan of the rain gloves, and I play speed golf in them because usually playing in the morning. Golf, usually playing in the morning, you put your clubs on the ground and the grips get dewy, so they get slippery pretty quickly. But Brian Harman and most of them didn't have the rain gloves, had the white leather gloves, which
at $30 a pop, I wouldn't be going through one around.
No, well, they won't even
They're going
one
through
around.
6 around.
Yeah.
But I wonder why they don't use the rain gloves.
Feel, I think, wouldn't be as good, and they can probably discard those, because the problem with the Cabrita leather in the rain is that they just get so slippery or shiny. But yeah, as you said quite rightly, their budget's significantly different to ours, so they probably just chuck it away. How many clubs do you carry with Speed Golf?
You can carry up to 7.
How many do
I
you
carry
carry?
3.
3.
Yeah.
What are they?
3 wood, 7-iron wedge.
Yeah. And when did you last play? You haven't played for a while, have you?
Last week?
Oh, what'd you shoot?
77.
And then you played today
Yeah.
with a full complement, teed off at 10 o'clock, like pretty gentleman's hours. It was a lovely day today too.
It was lovely in the office for you with the aircon on.
No,
It was
but is
cold. It was quite windy today.
No, it wasn't. And it was a nice day.
Yeah.
And you had a full bag. So would you shoot
Yeah.
77? And how long did that take you?
Just under an hour.
Yeah, so 50 minutes. So today, you full complement, beautiful day.
I don't know.
Didn't have
What's
to-
your point?
Didn't have to
Is
run.
there a point to your
Well,
story?
I'm just wondering what you shot. It must have been in the 60s. Surely. Yeah.
That must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you carried on after the 12th hole, what did you finish up with?
It's not about what I shot.
You had 83 today.
Why are you asking?
No, well, I just gave you the opportunity. But in all seriousness, despite it's quite funny taking the piss out of you, but isn't that random though? We talked about it last week, but you've actually just proved it.
Yeah.
You've shot.
It was
70.
about the 11th hole when I started going, I wish I'd just brought 3 clubs out.
Yeah, and started running.
Yeah. It was long past that point. I will say that I think the tiredness of being up for 4 nights straight played a little part of that.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And the greens were pretty quick today,
How
which
fast?
I was not ready for. But yeah, definitely played well enough to shoot 83, whereas last week I played well enough to shoot 76. 77. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is weird, eh? And because you must think there must be some clues in that around play.
Yep.
Yep. You're not
We'll
really
break it down one day, figure it out.
Yeah. Where's the Open next year?
Troon.
Is it the place we didn't have on the screen last week?
Yeah. You're saying Troon.
Yeah.
And then we looked afterwards, it's Royal County Down. No
Yeah,
wonder
which
I
is-
couldn't find the little postage stamp.
Yeah, which is a lovely course though.
I
Royal
was like, this
County
doesn't
Down.
look familiar, but I'm not massively familiar.
No.
While we're still talking about the Open and links golf in particular,
Mm.
you've had you caddied at one of them at
Yep,
Muirfield,
Muirfield, yep.
and I remember you telling me a story. So you caddied for Mark Brown, and you told me a story. You looked at the leaderboard, maybe second round or third round,
Last round.
there you
Yeah.
go, and said, you did say that the course was incredibly tough, and you said it's just luck whoever comes up there.
Yeah.
Do you want to carry on with that?
Yeah, so like Brownie's a gun, right? There's no two ways about that. And he made the cut and finished, I don't know where he finished, top 40, which is pretty impressive because you're out of season, like he's qualified from back here, not playing tournament golf, and best players in the world, and such a cool experience. He's played a few of them, but it was my first experience at an Open in Muirfield, and the golf course is proper hard. Like I thought, and like I'm not a great golfer, I was better then than I am now, but like if you'd have said to me that you have to play, let alone the pressure of playing in the Open, just playing on the course the way it was, as long as the rough was, as hard and fast as the greens were, like I reckon if I broke 90 I'd be doing well, and I'm relatively competent. It reminds me of some of those videos that they get the 5 handicapper to go out and play a major course,
Yeah.
and they shoot 100 or they shoot 90 something, and you don't comprehend how hard those golf courses are, I think, which is a bit of a shame in many ways, because you see your local club golfer shooting 72 and you think, or 68 or whatever, and you think, geez, he could play in the Open, but man, it is absolutely a different game.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were walking down the 72nd hole, and I looked up at the leaderboard. Oh no, I didn't look at the leaderboard. I said to Brownie, It's a bit of a joke though, mate. Like, it's a bit of a lottery. It's just luck. And Brownie, in his typical Brownie fashion, looked at me and went, "There's no luck, Jay. Look at that leaderboard. Look at the names on that." And it was like Woods, Mickelson. Or Mickelson won, so it was Mickelson, Woods, Adam Scott, Henrik Stenson. Like, it was the who's who of golf at the time. And he said if it was luck, those names wouldn't be up the top of the leaderboard. He said they are just that much better. I think 3 over won it, though, to put it in context. I might have made that bit up, but just phenomenally hard.
Kind of opposite to our sweepstake. Like, you could say it's just luck, and you look at the names and you go, oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Based on who's won it, it is just luck.
Yeah, I mean, I've won it 3 times, so...
Yeah, some people are just luckier than others.
Yeah. Success leaves clues.
So, it is incredibly difficult, as you said. I haven't played anything that I would begin to imagine would compare to that. Are there any places in New Zealand? Parapara Umu would be the first place that comes to mind, where you could, let's say, you somehow qualified, or a player of yours or a player qualified, where would be the best place to prep in New Zealand for
Kinloch, I think.
Kinloch?
And we did with Brownie. Me, Brownie, and DG, David Galbraith, went to Kinloch in June or July, pre-open, and it was the most miserable, bitter... I've got this photo of it, I'll show you. Shittiest day, and DG's just thinking it's hilarious. He showed Brownie in the car park. I don't know if you've ever seen C.T. Fletcher.
Yeah.
He showed Brownie a C.T. Fletcher. If you haven't seen C.T. Fletcher, Google it. He played Brownie a C.T. Fletcher video while we were huddled under an umbrella in the car park. And the 14th hole there, up over the saddle, and then you hit down to the green.
Yeah.
So Brownie, and there was another guy, Aussie tour guy, Anthony Brown, also, funny enough, was referred to as Brownie. They couldn't even get it. So both playing like high level golf, right?
Yep.
They couldn't get it. They just got it to the bottom of the hill going up on 14.
Yeah.
That's how horrendous the weather was. DG was just bellowing with laughter. But then, ironically, we went to Muirfield, and Michaela, Brownie's wife, who's from Mount Maunganui and is a surfy chick, she got sunburned and peeled. It was it was Scotland hasn't seen anything like it. It was like 5 days in a row of just perfect hot sunny weather. So I'm not sure where I was going with that actually.
No, I asked you where you'd prep.
Oh yeah, Kinloch definitely. And Kinloch in the old days when the rough was up.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that I think that was good for probably business, but in terms of that prep, back tees, Kinloch, rough up. Anyone that had the experience of playing that when it sort of first opened would appreciate how hard shit is, and then add the pressure of playing in the Open Championship or playing for your livelihood. Really intense.
Because I think falsely, probably, Muriwai gets referred to as one of the best links courses in the country. Unfortunately for Auckland, it's probably the only playable course in the winter, so it's very popular. And it can get windy there. It is right on the coast, so probably technically links, but there are probably more trees than you expect to see on a links course there. And I think people maybe compare it to that. Go, oh yeah, it's pretty windy at Muriwai. It gets pretty tough out there. From what I'm hearing you say, it's a completely different ball game.
Oh yeah, nothing like it. Yeah.
To that. Even.
It is. Yeah. Parapara Umu, you'd play there in a club day, and then a Wellington Stroke Play, and then a New Zealand Amateur, and then a New Zealand Open, and that felt like 4 different golf courses. The way they could just flick the switch and make that hard and fast. I remember playing and at Parapara Umu and New Zealand Open. I think either Matthew Lane or Elliot Bolt, I can't remember, one of them shot 64 in the first round. I remember thinking, if I even lay down and visualised, I don't think I'd shoot 64. Like, it was so hard. But again, that just comes from experience. Before we do leave the Open, Brian Harman, I keep thinking Billy now, he gained stroke, so everyone was saying he's a short hitter. He gained 0.8 of a stroke in strokes gained stats off the tee for the week. So that's pretty impressive for a short hitter, because they're battling against the long hitters, and length is such a massive advantage. His approach play, he gained 0.56. Again, pretty impressive. And that's normally the critical one,
Yep.
you need to do pretty well in all stats. Short game, he gained 0.46 of a shot, so half a shot around on the field. And then putting was obviously impressive. He gained 2.85 shots.
Per round.
Yeah.
2.8 per round.
So, yeah, pretty impressive. I don't know if that was
Clinical
per round or not. Is that for the event or per round? I don't actually know the answer.
It must be per round, because if it was for the event, the ones you've just said only add up to about 4, and he won by 6. So it must be per round.
true, per round. But
so
he was positive in all of them,
Yeah,
which is pretty
it's
impressive.
very impressive.
Yeah.
We talked
And-
about ball speed last week, and he was kind of mid to high 160s.
Right, and what were
So,
you?
Yeah, 160, the
Yeah.
one that I hit
Hit another one.
there. But
Because you've warmed up today, you've hit
Have
83
I?
of them.
not drivers.
Well, I saw a few off the third team.
Where was I going with that? He may have had a couple that just reached 170, but again, pretty impressive. So, one of the shorter hitters you might suggest.
Yeah.
But to gain strokes, obviously the accuracy was pretty important there. One of the things I thought about while I was watching is we don't tend to get penalised with bunkers in New Zealand. They're kind of just there, but they're pretty flat, and you just hit your normal shot to the green, whereas you literally have to chip out sideways or backwards in some of these bunkers. So very penal if you're off line.
Which makes that stroke gained off the tee
yeah,
even more impressive.
because if you hit it in a bunker, it's -1 straight
Yeah.
away. You
Yeah.
are literally giving up one stroke.
You've wasted a shot.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make that up. One thing I was saying to someone last week, like, it's easy to lose 0.8 of a shot or lose a shot by chipping it out sideways out of a bunker. To gain a shot, you have to hole it from over 150 metres, and I'm not sure how many times you've holed it from over 150 metres, but it's not that frequent occurrence. So it's so much easier, like the game is, to lose shots or percentage of shots than it is to gain shots. So
Yeah, I think it's a good example. If you hit one in the bunker, you lose one straight away. And let's say Rory was hitting it in the fairway compared to Brian Harman. He might gain 0.2 or 0.3. It'll be probably close to that. So he's going to have to hit 3 or 4, 5 drives even in the fairway, the same as Brian Harman, have 2 clubs less just to gain that stroke back.
yeah,
That one in the fairway. So while length is a huge advantage,
yeah. Was it there that
accuracy's
Tiger didn't
pretty-
hit it in a bunker, or was that at the old course?
I'm not sure.
He played
Not
one
sure.
open where he didn't hit. I think it might have been the old course, and then the one at Hoylake was he didn't hit
Just at the one driver.
one
for the
driver.
week.
Yeah. So do you know who won the Open at Hoylake prior to Tiger?
I did look it up.
Who was it?
But I've forgotten his name. So when I was looking at the big names, I couldn't remember when they were, but I think it was Walter Hagen maybe, and did Ben Hogan one? Bobby Jones, I think.
Bobby Jones won. Yep.
And Walter Hagen. So way back. But other than that, probably more along the lines of Brian Harman than Tiger Woods
Right.
for the ones before that.
So there was a guy. The previous one. The previous was in 1967,
Yeah.
and it was a guy called Roberto Di Vincenzo.
Okay.
Have you
Yeah,
heard of him?
I have. Yeah.
Why have you heard of him?
Why have I heard
Do you
of
know
him?
what he's famous for?
No.
So he was the Open champion,
Yeah.
champion golfer of the year.
Did he win the Masters?
No.
Did he lose the Masters?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next year, in 1968, he birdied 17,
Yeah.
parred 18 to get in the clubhouse at, let's say, I don't know the numbers, but let's say 11 under. And the next dude coming in, whose name escapes me, but it'll come back to me, Bob Golby, I think.
He's incorrect scorecard. He signed an incorrect scorecard.
Incorrect scorecard, lost
That's
by
right.
one,
Lost
missed out
by-
on a
Yeah,
playoff.
that's right. That's how I know his name now.
So yeah,
incorrect
so he would have
scorecard.
gone. He could have gone Open champion and then Masters champion.
Masters champion. Wow.
But he signed for a 4 on 17.
But he signed for a higher score.
Yeah,
Mm.
1 stroke higher. He forgot it because he hit it to like 2 feet or a foot,
Yeah.
and so he tapped it in, and yeah, signed for a 4, and so had to in golf. Obviously, for those that maybe don't know, Mum. If you sign for a higher score, you have to take the higher score. If you sign for a lower score, you get disqualified.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. So at least he did it that way.
Yeah.
But imagine So I never even knew he won a major. I always just thought he was the guy that signed and didn't win
There
until
we go.
last night. I was
Yeah.
looking, going, I wonder who else has won at Hoylake. And because the commentators referenced Bobby Jones, at one point.
Probably that
And
might have been
between
while I
your
was asleep.
slumber, yeah.
One thing before we go,
Yeah. Where are we going?
We have to the next topic,
Yeah.
to our Kiwis. One thing, we have a 4 that plays was intended to be regularly. We have
As regular as we can.
the estate, we call it. If we played Ambrose, the 4 of us right now,
Yeah.
would we have won the Open?
Oh, hell no. No chance.
No chance.
No
Ambrose,
chance.
4
Ambrose.
4 reasonable golfers.
Yeah. No chance.
Ambrose, no chance.
No.
Where would we have finished? We would make the cut.
What was the cut?
+3 made the cut.
I think we'd make the cut.
Yeah.
We'd no chance of winning.
No.
Do you know, or was it you? No, Mike was talking this morning in the office about, I think it was Rick Shields, and how he plays golf and he'll go, they'll always do something different, like they'll play a 2-ball scramble and see if,
Yeah.
or they'll play a best ball and see if they can shoot. Oh, there's a 2-ball scramble and see if they can shoot 65, and that'd be a way more fun way to engage with golf, I think, for
Yeah.
me personally at least, rather than every Saturday. I mean, I like playing my own ball, that's all cool, but I'd love to do stuff like that where you can, you and I go out and go, right, just play 2-ball Ambrose,
See if we can break 80.
5. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
To your point, there's no chance we'd win the Open. We wouldn't even shoot. What did he finish?
So 12 under? 12 under?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'd struggle to do that around Royal Total.
Over
not very
4
good.
rounds, you don't think we could shoot 3
I
under?
don't think we're very good. Oh no, what did we shoot at? So three of the estate played at the Mount. What did we shoot that day?
10, 11, 12? I don't know.
Yeah, we might have been a few under. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Good question. I wish I could answer it, but I never get the chance.
Because the benefit to Ambrose, I think, more than making birdies, is the bogey avoidance.
Yeah, that's
Because you wouldn't...
you
Hard
would.
to say.
Yeah.
Hard to
You
say.
definitely would.
3 of us hit it in a bunker off the tee, and the last guy hit an iron. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't be worth it. But, yeah.
It could be quite funny watching us play 18 at Hoylake with that out of bounds. Me and
Well-
Leachy are out all straight away.
Since you brought it up,
Yeah. Oh, here we
I was
go.
wondering if you were going to be nervous when lucky Brian Harmon's left-handed coming up the last, but he's not on your team. But John Rahm coming up the last, he was
Yeah.
your last player in. But even out of bounds the right, just because he's on your team, I thought you might have been nervous
Yeah, a
because
little
it's
bit. Yeah.
tight.
Tight. They brought it in 20 yards, they reckon,
Yeah.
since Rory. Yeah, that even Harmon. I mean, the commentator said he can make 10 up the last and win. That's nice.
Yeah.
If you said, "Do you reckon you could make 10 up the last?" I reckon I could do that,
Yeah.
even under that pressure.
Yeah.
May not hit driver off
All
the
golf
tee.
course left. So.
Yeah, I'd probably hit 5 on off the tee. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't get to the fairway then. Oh yeah. Shit.
Lucky you don't have to worry about it.
No.
Let's talk about the Kiwis. We can start with Dan and Ryan, and then we'll move on to
Yeah. So they were both in my sweep.
Yeah.
Dan unfortunately missed the cut.
Yeah.
And Ryan, hell of a second round and third round.
Hell of a start. He was top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, 2
early.
under through 6. I was
early.
thinking, yeah,
Here we
boy.
go.
Yeah, a bit of a tough finish in round 1.
11 shot difference between round 1 and 2.
Yeah, was it?
I don't
79, 68.
I don't know if that's impressive
Yeah,
because you could just
it's impressive if you shot 72 in the
Yeah.
first round, not so much if you shot 79. But still cool that he
yeah
gutsed it out and made the cut on the number.
yeah
Amelia Garvey played on the Epsom Tour.
Yep.
She finished this morning, tied 13th.
Yep.
So she's top 20. I think she's 22nd-ish on the order of merit. Maybe snuck into the 20th after that. Top 10 go straight to the LPGA Tour LPGA Tour, and then the next 10, I think, get a couple of starts, but also through to final stage. So she's trending quite nicely for the back half of the year.
yep
And then Kazuma Kabori had another top 10 last week. He finished tied 6th in the Southern Am. And they have a thing, he's playing in what's called the Elite Amateur Series, and it's basically the best players in America. They're all, so Jaden Ford, Josh Bye, Sam Jones, Kazuma Kabori, who are and Zach Swanwick is also in our men's academy, but he's a junior, so not playing in those events. So Josh, Jaden, Sam, and Kazuma are playing in the Elite Amateur Series in the US, and they have a order of merit for these events. There's 2 to go. I think they've had 5 so far, or maybe 6. 2 to go. 2 to go, and the top player gets PGA Tour start. Whoever wins it, and Kazuma at the moment is in 5th place on that order of merit, which is pretty cool. He's a couple of weeks in a row where he's top 10. And this week, if you're into, I don't know if it's fate, but this week they're playing. I always get to Capilano in Vancouver, which is where Michael Campbell, Philip Tatharangi, Grant Moorhead, and Stephen Scarhill won the Eisenhower in 1992. So playing that same course, and so that's Jaden Ford, Sam Jones, and Kazuma Kabori. So playing that, so that could be, like, is there a bit of fate there, or whatever the word is, and they're going to win? That'd be lovely. And then we've got, like I said last week, Zach Swanwick. They start tomorrow, and then also starting tomorrow in the US Junior, Zach Swanwick, Josh By, who are both in our senior academy, and then Robbie Turnbull, who's in phase 2 of our Golf New Zealand program. So they're all playing in the US Junior, which starts tomorrow. So that's pretty cool. As I said, we don't normally have players in that, so you can just go, if you're interested in that, go to USGA, I suppose. Yeah. Live scoring.
Nice.
It's
pretty cool.
That's very cool.
You know Kazuma fairly well. You got a pretty good relationship with him now after a few years. Do you think he's someone that needs something to play for? How do you think that maybe little carrot of a USPG or US Tour start will play into how he prepares? Will it change anything, or is he pretty level-headed?
No, he's pretty level-headed. He's pretty disciplined. He's that saying of how we, which I think I tried to say last week, stuffed it up maybe. How we do anything is how we do everything, or whichever way. I never know which way around it is, but you know what I mean. His standards are high, whether he's playing. He's really competitive, so he just wants to win everything. So if he's playing against you or me, he won't drop his standards. Some people, it's easy to just just having a hit, whereas he doesn't do that too much. So, and the other thing for him and all of those guys actually at this time of year is there's so much benefit to getting your world ranking up, and playing in these events obviously boosts that. So, you got things like management companies approaching you and sponsorship. So he's starting to now probably come to the realization that he knows he's good, but people are taking an interest in now. Golf's the easy bit in many ways, and he's actually got to think about what's next, and people are trying to help him, and what does that mean for him. So I don't think it will affect him. In fact, because he's so competitive in a quiet sort of a way, I think it's probably a bit of a bonus. He's a good man, and his sister's awesome too. He's still not even the best in his family, which we do have great pleasure in telling him.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
There was one thing I was going to mention about the Open well, which was quite a nice story with Matthew Jordan, the local. So I mentioned him, I forgot his name, but he made it through a local qualifier. Been a member at Royal Liverpool since he was 7 years old.
Sure.
And
he's quite a good player though, isn't he?
He is quite. He plays on the DP World Tour. Yeah. He birdied the last to get to 4 under. That ended up being tied 10th.
Oh, nice.
So I know tied 10th. I think he gets
next year
15. He gets a start for next year. So that's pretty cool for him.
That's very cool.
He had the honour of hitting the first tee shot.
Yeah.
Which can't imagine the nerves you'd have at your home club. All these expectations. I don't know how many people would normally come out in the morning. I wouldn't have the massive crowds. There's no feature groups that early normally. 6:35 I think it was. Yeah. But you've probably got it'd probably be worse because it'll be club members. And you know them all, and they'd all have these expectations. Oh, this guy's got the course record, which he does around there with 62. He knows how to play this course. I feel like there'd be a lot more expectations. So probably even more so, did incredibly well to play that well.
Yeah.
It can be difficult playing at
home.
I
reckon it's harder, eh?
Yeah.
I reckon that's why the French at the World Cup, maybe. Clutching at straws?
Nah.
No? You reckon they're a chance?
I don't think they're a chance.
All Blacks.
Yeah, All Blacks.
They were good, eh?
They were good.
Outstanding, and they play us. We've already talked about that, though, I think, haven't we? We must have, because they didn't play this weekend. But I think you're right on the Matthew Jordan bit. I reckon sometimes that pressure's actually worse.
Yeah.
You know, you want to just fly under the radar. And the other one that the Open's weird for, just on that, thinking back to Brownie, I think his morning tee time was like 11:48.
Yeah.
And his afternoon tee time was like 4:35.
Yeah.
We're coming in the last hole like 9:45 at night.
Play
It
late.
was random as. But quite cool as well.
Yeah.
Not so much for Brownie, because that's a pretty shit draw to get. But those Monday qualifiers, and like the likes of Brownie who qualify, they do get the rough end of the draw. Not like, to your point, the feature groups of the Rory McIlroy and those guys get the. But fair enough, they've earned today. They had the shit draws at some point.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your golf, just to wrap up. Like, we're almost there. Like, I watched you hit it off. One pure little draw down the left-hand side of the fairway. Then I happened to be out on the in the clubhouse and saw you coming up. Six, you birdied 6. Watched your tee off 7, par 5. You pumped it down there.
Yeah.
So I saw you hit 6 shots of the 83, and they're all pretty impressive.
One of them was pretty terrible.
A bit of a flub, but you still made birdie on the hole, so good enough. What happened?
I don't practice,
I don't
so
care.
I mishit a lot of shots.
Right.
And my short game's never been great, and because I don't play much, I don't practice much, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy. It's quite easy to make bogeys. If you miss a green, I'll chip it to 6 feet, which isn't horrendous, but I'm not gonna
Why do you
them.
not make bogeys in speed golf?
I make plenty of bogeys.
Yeah, but you don't make many birdies in speed golf.
No, about 7 bogeys, 6 bogeys, 7 bogeys.
Yeah, so but that's the thing is, all the excuses you use for today, where are they in speed golf?
It was more difficult today.
Was it?
Yeah, it was windier. It was a little bit colder. Because I don't get up when it's cold, so I don't play speed golf when it's cold. And the greens were
they were fast,
very quick.
Yeah.
And multiple 3 putts don't help either.
No.
I made a couple of doubles where I would chip it to 10 feet and then 3 putt. So average chip followed by one you just hit 3 or 4 feet past and then miss it on the way back. So I feel it's pretty easy to stress-free bogeys.
Yeah.
But no, I don't practice, so...
What are you going to do? Are you going to practice?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
It's just not a priority, so it's just a like to, not must do. I'd kind of like to register for an event or a tournament maybe 3 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
So then
that could be quite a cool little project for us.
For
us, as in us. No, I'm not.
As in we both register to play.
No, not that. But I think, as in we can talk about it.
Yeah.
You can have some for us.
And probably the other thing as well is I went and hit some balls with Alex the other day. He did a fitting for me. I've been interested to see, thinking about getting offset clubs. So I didn't realise this, but Adam Scott has offset blades, and they just don't exist unless
you're not Adam Scott,
unless they're custom made. But doing some stuff on TrackMan, I hit the ball too high, so when it's windy, I struggle.
Yeah.
So my launch is too high, my dynamic launch, and my spin loft is way too high. So an easier fix or a simple fix for that would be having offset clubs, so then the handle's automatically in front of the ball, bringing those two down. So I've been playing around with Alex with some different clubs and trying to hit them, and all of them have been standard length and either a little bit flat or standard lie, and then my clubs are long and upright. So the balls that I have been hitting have been with different clubs, and then I come back to mine, no practice. So
what sort of club iron have you been using that's offset?
There's not really any blades. There's Ping's got
You don't
one.
need blades, man.
No.
Mine offset. Mine might be offset.
But they tend to be in the game improvement irons, so I'd like to find some that are slightly offset,
Mm.
just to see if that can help. But I've been trying to maybe improve my launch conditions and launch the ball lower, so then I get on course and I go, should I do that, or should I just try and hit the ball and get in the
Yeah.
in between where
So your options
fluctuate.
are you can either practice and get better, or you can buy a new set of clubs.
I'm sure there's more options. I keep doing what I'm doing
Yeah.
and shoot 83 every second round.
Yeah. When are you playing next?
I haven't booked it in. Whenever you invite me.
Yeah. Right. We should have a game.
Yeah. Maybe one of these podcasts we can dig into the nerdy numbers and
Yeah.
go a bit deeper in that, into speed doesn't necessarily mean you're good at golf,
Yeah.
and this is why.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I had more speed than I have now, but I wasn't necessarily better at golf because my launch conditions weren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows.
What do you want? What do you want to say?
5-iron.
Why? What am I showing you?
What club's that?
It's 4-iron.
Yeah, 4-iron, because you talked about hitting that.
So what am I showing you?
Don't know. Just hit a 4-iron.
A normal 4-iron.
Yeah.
The sign seems awfully close.
Hold on. I'm just going to move the microphone so we can see the ball.
That didn't make the fairway.
93 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's slow, eh?
Going again. I'll play it too.
So they were both pretty poor strikes.
Were they?
Yeah.
That one was better.
I'm not sure what you wanted to get out of that.
No, I'm really not either. Just want to see you hit it. It's a lovely swing. 83 times.
Swings aren't everything, Jay.
No. Well, that's us probably.
Cool.
Should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
What are we going to talk about next week?
Are we doing one next week?
Are we doing one next week? Maybe.
Okay, what should we talk about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably not the Barbasol
I'll be
Championship.
playing golf actually, so we can talk about me.
Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. So
Right.
there you go.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.